So hi everyone, so thanks again for joining me on another photo walk, and kind of what inspired me today was a video I saw by Thomas Heaton. It was a few days ago and he was talking about his woodland pics, similar to what I'm doing here with some woods. And what you would do, or what he would do, is he would take a picture of a scene like this and then bring it into Photoshop, duplicate it, create a couple layers, and then in one layer he would blur it out, and then the other layer he would sort of tweak the taste, and then he would blend them back together so that adjusting the opacity and stuff, so you kind of get this soft kind of glowy effect look to the image. And I think for those kinds of scenes, woodlands like this, that's a really awesome effect. It's also very common in like portrait photography, like the little baby photos, or maybe a significant other, you have a slight glow around them. And it's not for everyone, right? I mean, it's just another tool or skill set that I think is handy to have if you want to do something like that. All right, so I've already done a factory reset on this camera, and today I'll be using the EM10 Mark II with the 14-42 kit lens. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go into the Super Control panel, and I'm going to change the focus point to center, like so. And then I'm going to go over here to the picture mode and change this to vivid. And then this item down here you guys probably have never used before, but this is your sharpness. You can crank that up a little bit. Up to a +2 is the max. And then I'm going to do the same thing for contrast. So I get maximum contrast, maximum sharpness. And it's artificial, okay? But the goal here is just to get the best image out of camera that we can. Now this next gradation area here, I'm going to leave it at normal for now. But for some shots, and we'll try and see how they look if I go with low key to give it a little bit more punch or crush the shadows a little more. I think I'll just change it now. We'll just start with a low key picture. And then I'm going to turn off face detect. Now the autofocus mode I need to change from single point AF or single shot AF to single shot AF plus manual focus, and this is important. You need to be in that mode. And I'm going to change this to anti-shock, just to reduce any potential camera. And then I need to change to large superfine plus raw. To do that, I need to go into the menu first and go down here to the color and white balance. And this very first thing here, set the pictures, to set the JPEG mode. I'm going to go over to panel number 2 and change that to SF or superfine, so I get the maximum JPEG quality possible from this camera. Now I'm going to go back into the Super Control panel, and you can see this change to large superfine. I'm going to change this to large superfine plus raw. The last setting we need to do is into shooting menu number 2 and change this to number of frames, 2 frames. So we're in multiple exposure, 2 frames, and then I'm going to turn auto gain on, like so. So basically what I've done is I told the camera I'm going to be taking 2 pictures, and then I wanted to do auto gain, meaning blend the 2 pictures together so that the exposure is the same as what I was expecting. Because if you don't turn the auto gain on, it'll blend the 2 pictures together and add the light, so it'll be a little bit brighter. And you can experiment with that. You may like that look, but I'm just going to do auto gain on so that the exposure is closer to what I'm expecting. Now, it's important that we shoot in RAW, because we're going to be talking about how to do this in the playback menu, where you're merging pictures together that you've already taken. And you can only do that if you took RAW pictures. But don't worry, I mean, you can save them as JPEGs in camera, so that if you want to share them on Instagram and Facebook or wherever, you can do that and not have to, load them into Olympus Viewer and export them and go through all of that hassle, or Photoshop, or whatever it is you use. The other thing I want you to notice is in the top of the live view, you'll see an icon now that tells you that it is in multiple exposure mode. It's a little white icon at the top here to let you know it's ready to take the first picture for blending. And then when you take the first picture, or after you take the first picture, it'll turn green to let you know it's now on picture number 2, and then you can take your second picture. So anytime before you want to do a multiple exposure like this through the shooting menu, make sure that icon is on, because that icon, you know, it'll hop out of double exposure mode or multiple exposure mode for almost any reason. You know, if I push the play button, push the menu button, change the mode dial, what have you. And that reminds me, the last thing is I will be shooting an aperture priority. So I'm going to be shooting as wide as this lens goes. So let me do that real quick and open it up to f3.5 in this case. All right, now if you remember, I set the autofocus mode to single point autofocus or single shot autofocus plus manual focus, because the first shot I want to be out of focus, the first picture I take in this multiple exposure. And then the second shot I want to be in focus. So it's easier if you do the out of focus one first, especially if you're handheld. If you're on a tripod, it really doesn't matter, but if you're handheld, it's easier to take the first picture out of focus and then the second picture in focus. So the way you do that is you compose your scene first, you half press the shutter button like so, and you hold it halfway down. And then you rotate the front ring until everything's out of focus. Sometimes turning it the other way, clockwise or counterclockwise, the image will be blurrier. And you can adjust that to taste, but I'm just going to adjust it to the blurriest setting I can get. So let's do that here on this scene. Let me compose a little bit. Can't see. When it's bright out, ironically, I can't see as well with my sunglasses on. Okay, so I'm going to half press the shutter button, and then I'm going to rotate the focus ring until everything's blurry, and then hold steady as I can and take the first picture, then quickly take the second picture. And let's take a look. Yeah, see the difference? Okay, let me take one picture without using this effect. So in my opinion, the picture with the kind of the Orton effect to it is a nicer picture. Like I said, it's not for everyone, but if you want to try this, I think it's kind of neat. You know, I was watching another video, and I see this occasionally from you know, photographers online that you know, they talk about, you know, how they travel, you know, or drive for hours, and then they'll reach some destination, then they'll, you know, hike for another few hours, and then they'll set up everything and then wait a couple hours for the light to be right, and then they'll take one picture. You know, if I'm going to do all of that travel and hiking, I'm going to take as many pictures as I can. I just, that's crazy. I mean, maybe I'm not there yet where that makes sense, but I don't see how that would ever make sense to me, to take one picture. I kind of like how the shadows are dropping down here. I'm going to try a shot here and see how it comes out. So, let's do 1/3 sky. See how that looks. Out. This will be easy peasy. All right, everyone, so thanks again for joining me on another photo walk. Hopefully you picked up a few tips and will be able to take better pictures with your Olympus camera. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.